I wasn't planning to die that day, but I did. I was pronounced dead on the scene by 4 paramedics. Therefore, I was 90 minutes in heaven.
Oh God, please help me. I'm dying.
I had been killed instantly. I felt myself being sucked out of my body.
When I came out on the other side, there was a blinding light that freed me from pain.
I felt pure peace and joy. Before you go back to your body,
We want you to witness heaven.
It was the most beautiful experience I've ever had. I was witnessing heaven.
You know, I didn't have a near-death experience. When you're dead for an hour and a half, you're not nearly dead. I was medically deceased. I don't look like very much, but I'm a miracle. It's a miracle that I'm alive, and it's a miracle I walked into this place, and when I'm finished, I'm walking out. Before the accident, I was associate pastor of South Park Baptist Church in Alvin, Texas. And I went to a pastor's conference, 130 miles away. It was a 3-day conference. It ended on a Wednesday morning. I was on my way back, and I decided to go home a different way that day. I got in the car, and I drove down a narrow, rural road that has a bridge on it, and it's a very narrow bridge, the kind of the metal superstructure over the top of it. I was almost off the bridge when that 18-wheeler crossed the center stripe and hit me head on. Obviously, I had nowhere to go, so he just literally ran over me. The impact was well over 100 miles an hour, and he struck 2 more cars after that, so it was a 4-vehicle pileup on a very rural bridge in the middle of nowhere. Took a long time for police and ambulances to arrive. They did. They discovered immediately that I was a fatality. I had been killed instantly, and they did everything they could to try to resuscitate me. Things I had never even tried before because there was nothing to lose. Miraculously, the other 3 people were not injured at all. Their vehicles were totaled, but they were okay, so they're treated and released. So all these paramedics, there were 4 ambulances sent, were working on me. They were unsuccessful. I was pronounced dead on the scene by 4 paramedics, and they have called for a medical examiner. I was impaled on a steering wheel. This is long before airbags. The state trooper who approached the car from the side moments after the accident, he said it was the worst thing he's ever seen in any accident that he's ever worked. Anyone would have bled out in 5 minutes, with all these massive gaping wounds I had all over me. But I didn't bleed out because my heart was not beating. I was dead.
Pastor Don Piper had an experience that cannot be explained by natural means. It was, in fact, supernatural.
I think when you get killed at 110 miles an hour, there's no tunnel. You're not drifting to heaven. This was a quick trip. It was immediate for me. In heaven, of course, there are colors there that are not here. And the aroma of heaven. One of the aromas of heaven are the prayers of the saints that come from the throne of God. It's like incense. So it's a buffet for the senses. But the thing that really connected with me is that music. The music of heaven was so intense that it just kind of permeated me. It was so incredibly overwhelming and unique. I heard thousands of songs, almost untold numbers of songs, each one of which I could distinguish with my heavenly ears. And one song seemed to soar above all of them. Holy, holy, holy. According to Revelation 21, there are 12 gates in heaven. They're all made of pearl. That's not a mythological description. They really are made of pearl. Brilliant, gleaming, iridescent. I thought they were living gates because they were just kind of pulsating with life. But I believed it was the light reflecting off the gates that made them look that way. And so it's magnificent gates. And I was just taking in the gates, and then I kind of panned down, and I'm looking at people. Lots of people. And I knew all of them. These were people who had preceded me in death from this life. And they were there to meet me. So I am so excited. I have no words for it, deliriously happy that I am going through the gates of the city of God. I'm in heaven. I'm home. And as I'm entering into the inside of it, I could see the glory, the majesty, the incredible beauty that is heaven, God's place. As I approach the gate, I'm seeing the river of life flow from the throne of God. I'm seeing the tree of life from which we will eat. The best thing about heaven is that we're with God. Not the colors, not the angels, not the music. I mean, they're all magnificent, quite. But you're with God. You're in His place. You're not hoping He'll show up at your place. You're in His place. And so I'm going into His place. And I am in bliss.
Don was legitimately no longer with us. So how is it that he's giving us his testimony now? That when we return.
When I listen to the sleep meditations that I have a friend next to me, I feel like it's a voice that tells me everything's going to be okay.
So things are moving very fast down here on earth. In heaven, it's not moving fast at all. There's no time there. And I'm having the best time. Down here, frantic. So traffic now is backed up on both ends of this bridge for miles. Behind me are all these preachers, because they all left the same conference I have. They left their cars and began to walk down the bridge, mostly to find out what's going on up there. Why are we not moving? One of those pastors was named Dick Onerecker. He walked up to the bridge, saw the carnage, and asked, "Is there anyone I can pray for here?" The state trooper, who was in charge of the accident, said, "There's no one to pray for. Everyone's okay, except the man in the red car. He's a fatality. He didn't make it." When he said that, God spoke to Pastor Dick Onerecker, and he said this: "Pray for the man in the red car." This made no sense to him at all. Never considered praying for a dead man. But he was obedient. So with a lot of supplication, he managed to get permission to get in the wreckage of the car, which was a horrible wreck. I mean, just destroyed car, and I'm in it. He had to come in from the back. The hatchback has been knocked off, and he crawls through that car, locates me under a tarp. They've covered up the body so nobody would have to see it. It's truly gruesome. He puts his hand on my right shoulder and begins to pray, because God told him to. Meanwhile, back in Alvin, the police had managed to contact the church, because that's the only number I had on me, my business card. And they told the church that I had been in a horrific accident. They did not tell them I was a fatality. So the church, of course, begins to pray. They make arrangements to go get my wife and my children. The church starts calling churches in that area, and it starts spreading all across the state of Texas through whatever means they had at their disposal in those days. Those churches called other churches, and in a matter of really minutes, coast to coast, people are praying for me, most of whom I've never met, some around the world. Dick Onerecker's praying. He's been praying for quite a while, and he's now alternating between verbal prayers and musical prayers. He's singing old hymns, because he's been praying for a long time, about an hour and a half. I'm standing at the gates of heaven. And as I stepped inside, it all stopped. In a fraction of a second, I found myself in darkness and silence. And I truly wanted to cry out, "What is going on? I just got here. What is happening?" And I couldn't seem to make my voice work. And suddenly, I heard a sound. It was the sound, because everything else had gone silent and dark. This sound, and it's the words of Dick Onerecker singing, "What a friend we have in Jesus." And it wasn't coming in front of me like heaven was, it was coming behind me. And I'm in darkness. Well, I am in darkness. I'm covered up with a tarp. And Dick is singing, and suddenly, without any warning, I start singing the song with him. He exits the car very briskly, goes over to the policeman, who he really badgered to let him get in the car with the body, and says, "Officer, the dead man is singing." He was not believed. The medical people, almost all of them are gone. The ones that are left, they don't believe him. They're medical professionals. They know a dead man when they see one. But he convinces them to come over and check on me. And when they did, they found out I was alive. Not very, but I was alive. God is still in the miracle business. God answers prayer, because I'm not responsible for being here. God answered the prayers of the thousands of people who asked for me to live. I had nothing to do with it. Heaven is the most glorious, real thing that's ever happened to me. It's my reality now. Often so many things that happen here on earth are not that real to me. When you've broken every bone in your body and you've been told you'll never walk again, things change. I mean, I miss what I did see so intensely, especially when horrible things are going on here on the planet. I would ask God this question: why did you let me see that and take it away from me? I know now it's so I could be here and tell you heaven is real and Jesus is the way, the only way. I can't wait to go back. I didn't want to come back here, but I didn't get asked. I got sent. After surviving and all those years of therapy and getting back on my feet, one of the really important ministries that I have developed is to help people understand that the only one who can defeat you is you. I had to learn to let people help me, take care of me, love me when I was not very lovable. And I had to discover, as I did one morning on the 21st floor of St. Luke's Medical Tower, God spoke to me in a very clear voice, and he said this: "This is not about you. This is about me. And what I can do through you now, I could never do before the truck hit you. You need to get over your pity party. Instead of shaking your fist at me, you need to reach the same hand out to other people and help them through long, dark nights, because they know you understand, and that's all they want. No matter how dark the night is, this experience may be what God can use to bless other people. And then you'll understand why you went through it." That happened for me, and I've been trying to help it happen for other people.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of Witnessing Heaven, presented by Guideposts. Please share your thoughts about it in the comments below. If you have a near-death experience you'd like to see told, contact us at nde@guideposts.org and tell us your story. Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss anything before you go.